Hello everyone and welcome to Life Begins at 20. My name is Mark and today we have episode 10 of Booster Pack Friday. To mark the 10th episode, I thought I'd get a pack of Eternal Masters to open up and see what pick one would be in draft. So let's get stuck into the pack and see what we pick. Okay, so first up we've got Ballynock Cohort. So for 3 we've got a 2-2 with First Strike, and it gets +1/+1 as long as you control another white creature. That's actually pretty strong, to be fair. First Strike's fantastic anyway. If you've got another white creature out, 3-3 with First Strike, I quite like that. Next we've got Blight Soil Druid. So for 1 and a black you get a 1-2. You can tap it to pay 1 life and add green to your mana pool. It's quite useful to have creatures like this in your deck anyway. Adding a green might be quite useful if you're trying to go black-green. Paying 1 life doesn't seem to be an issue either in this set, so quite good. I'm happy with that. Next, we've got Seal of Strength. So for a green, we get to sacrifice it. Target creature gets +3/+3 until the end of turn. It's quite useful to have an enchantment out if you need to. Sacrificing it to get +3/+3 till the end of turn is quite useful. Not necessarily going to be that strong a pick for me though. Next we've got Warden of the Evil-Sile. So for 2 and a blue you get a flying 2-2. Creature spells with flying you cast cost 1 less. Great. I mean, it's a 2-2 flying for 3 in blue is quite useful. The amount of flyers you could potentially get in blue and white if you go down that route is going to be quite good. 1 less to cast. Happy days there. Next we've got Jungle Hollow. So enter battlefield tapped. Get 1 life. Tap it for a black and or a green. Useful card. Next we've got 2 and a blue for Tidal Wave. So for an instant you get to put a 5/5 blue wall creature token with Defender onto the battlefield and sacrifice at the beginning of your next end step. It's quite useful if you just need to get a blocker out there, and maybe kill off another one of your opponent's creatures as well. Nice little combat trick, but not necessarily going to be a top pick for me. Next we have Tragic Slip. So for a black you get target creature gets -1/-1 to the end of turn, or if it's another creature's died this turn you get it to be -13/-13 instead. If you can get Morbid off, this is a fantastic piece of removal. This is a very strong pick. Next we've got Bloodfell Caves. So enters battlefield tapped, you gain 1 life, and it's black-red for this one. Curd Ape is next. So for 1 red you get a 1/1 and it gets +1/+2 as long as you control a forest. Pretty strong card there, to be perfectly honest. If you've got a forest, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Mistral Charger. So for 1 and a white you get a flying 2/1. Pretty standard. I mean, 2/1 instead. I would prefer it to be 1/2 to be perfectly honest, but in aggressive it might be quite useful. First uncommon, we've got Keldon Champion. So for 2 and 2 red, you've got a 3/2 with haste and an echo cost of 2 and 2 red. So when it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target player. So automatically it's going to hit for 3, potentially with haste as well. You might be able to swing it for a little bit more. The echo cost is completely up to you whether you pay it or not. It may well be just useful to come in, swing in for 3, potentially get in for another 3 damage as well. Useful creature there. Next we've got Ashnod's Altar. So for 3 you've got an artifact where you can sacrifice a creature to add 2 colourless to your mana pool. That's actually pretty useful, to be perfectly honest. I mean, especially if you can create lots of tokens to sacrifice off. Pretty useful card there. Next we've got Sprite Noble. So for 1 and 2 blue you've got a flying 2/2. Other creatures you control with flying get +0/+1. Pretty good. Other creatures you control with flying you can tap it to +1/+0 until the end of turn. I quite like that. If you can create a flying style deck as well, that's going to be very useful. I do quite like that. For a rare, we've got Sylvos, Rogue Elemental. So for 3 and 3 green, you've got an 8/5 with Trample. That's huge. 1 green to regenerate it. I mean, that's really strong. I do really like that card. And for our foil, we've got Relic of Progenitus. So for 1, you've got an artifact where you can tap it. So target player exiles a card from his or her graveyard. Fairly useful there. You can pay 1 to exile it, to exile all cards from all graveyards and then draw a card. So realistically there you can either pay 2 to get a card draw, and you could exile all the cards from a graveyard. So if someone's trying to play a regenerator style deck or something along those lines, getting rid of their entire graveyard is going to be a massive help for you. Pretty good card there, and a worm token. There were a couple of cards I had to consider here, but Sylvos Rogue Elemental has to take the spot. An 8/5 with trample for 3 and 3 green is a strong card and a potential game winner. 5 toughness is a little weak, but having regenerate for 1 green is fantastic. Really like a card that can either protect itself or have longevity. It's a great bomb to have in limited, just watch out for exile and can't be regenerated removal. Overall, it was a really fun pack to open. It's nice to see a different set rather than just Kaladesh for these, so I may end up doing more of this in the future. Let me know in the comments section below which would have been your first pick. I'm really pleased with how well the channel has grown recently, and 100 subscribers is absolutely massive for me. Thank you all so much for supporting me. If you haven't already subscribed, please think about doing so because there's regular content on Tuesdays and Fridays. Next week I'll be bringing you my brand new series, MTG Cubed. This is where I'm going to be looking at the cube format, how to build a cube, what the processes I went through, tips and tricks that I picked up, and what is in my cube. So if that is something that interests you, please hit that subscribe button, it really helps. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.